All right, let's get started. I suppose this is the problem with sync play. It will take a while to sync everybody up when we go for play.
Yeah.
Hey, let me see if I can get that working.
Can you manufacture something completely in America? That is still the question. In the first video on this topic, I explained how we tried to make a simple barbecue grill scrubber completely in America, and depending on who you ask, we either succeeded or we failed miserably. This started off as an engineering challenge for me because my parents were auto workers and I wanted to make something in America because that was important to me. But what I learned was way bigger than that. I learned about systemic challenges in our capitalistic system if you have no ethics applied. I learned about things like monopsony, which is a fancy.
Can I pause this? Am I allowed to
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this convoluted system.
Yeah.
It's so everyone can pause it.
I want to say something. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So one thing I want to say there is there's the problem in the capitalistic system with no ethics. Well, capitalism does have a certain ethic. It is the ethic of private property, non-aggression, So this is a contradiction in terms. So capitalism is ethical point of view. So there cannot be a capitalism with no ethics. That would be jungle law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's...
Certainly. I'll just... Oh, sorry.
It's
kind of hard to see. Not trying to cut anyone off. I'll just add, I'm not really too fond of the initial even premise of his project, which is trying to create something only in America. I mean, it seems to me that he's just kind of shooting himself in the foot from the start, because it very well may be the case that even though a lot of Chinese goods are cheaper, there's something that's much more beneficial and productive that he could be, exploiting in China, but he's just kind of, or any other country, and he's just kind of cutting that off from himself. So I don't think he has the right starting idea even with producing here.
Yeah, I think on any sort of free trade discussion, which is obviously this whole made in America type of deal, it's very interlinked with the free trade idea. I think it's very useful. Many economists have used this analogy before. But the way you should think about free trade is imagine if there was this massive box that was just by the ocean. Okay, you put money into this box, and anything you can imagine comes out of that box. You can buy a car through that box. You can buy exotic spices from that box. You can buy any good that you can imagine. All you got to do is put money into this magic box, and somehow it turns that money into whatever the hell you want, for often cheaper than you get it domestically. It's great, wow, this is an incredible magic box. Then one day somebody comes along, and they lift that magic box. Turns out it wasn't so magic. It was just a port, right? You just put money into this port, and then goods come from elsewhere, and that's how the magic box works. And so, it's really, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to have to do this made in America thing. You can still care about quality, whilst getting goods from elsewhere. And in fact, we're going to learn in this video. Spoiler alert! I have seen this video because I had to cut it down, right? We're going to see that he does indeed start buying things from overseas anyway. So I'm not sure what the bugbear there really is.
I think it's
word that will go.
Sorry.
Certain. Yeah, no problem. I think there's this I don't know what to call it, economic nationalism, which is very, very stupid, in the sense that manufacturing the same thing within the country, even if it costs more and makes the product shittier, that's the kind of trade-off that you have to go for, because otherwise, if it was genuinely improving the product genuinely being a good product at a cheaper price, there wouldn't be a problem in the first place. Everybody would have been manufacturing locally. The reason people do manufacture globally, and trade with people, is because it makes for a genuinely better product. So you're shooting yourself in the foot for, making yourself poorer in real wealth terms. For what exactly? I think this notion of nationhood, and even in that, even if we take the nationalist premise, shouldn't your concern be the welfare of the people of your nation? You're not even doing that. Why is your concern, for example, the welfare of a small concentrated group of people which are the producers of the good at the cost of the vast majority of people which are the consumers of the good? You are making the majority of people's life worse by doing this, trying to be an economic nationalist. So I don't see, even on nationalist premises, how anybody sees economic nationalism as anything but a corruption scheme by companies which want to be shielded from competition from abroad.
What you're not taking into account is the plight of the Canadian banana farmer. Like, what about the Canadian banana farmer? Shouldn't they be able to make bananas themselves, even if those bananas are shittier, even if they're way more expensive, even if you need to like do crazy amounts of terraforming of like the tundra? Shouldn't the Canadians be able to make their bananas themselves? Why let the poor people make them? You know?
Yeah. To second that, I've been hearing my entire life the phrase. Oh, now I lost it because I was thinking about the farmers, and then I was thinking about. Like, this also goes into to derail what I was going to say. People also talk about the military aspect of it, right? Like, if we produce things here, then we don't have to worry about fighting wars with other countries, and then they stop letting us get steel or whatever. But the thing is, if that's the case, if countries are mutually trading, then they're less likely to go to war in the first place. The thing I was going to say, it's just my whole life I've always heard the phrase, we got to keep the money here, right? We got to keep the money in the US. It's kind of the idea, right? Like, it didn't really matter. I don't know. It's just another weird economic myth that like money staying inside the national borders is better for the nation as opposed to leaving and actual goods entering the borders, you know? Wild.
It's almost like a reversal in causality, you know? Like the real causal effect there, like the money is only as good as it buys you the goods, you know? Like the money is not really important there. Like cash, or even let's say, gold, like any sort of money that you have. Suppose you were given all the money in the world, but now you can't trade with anybody. Then, well, it's no good, you know? Like the goal of money is to get goods. The goal of hoarding of money for no reason is not the point. And not hoarding, perhaps hoarding is the wrong word, but like trying to quote unquote keep the money in the country and forcing people to buy worse goods is not making them richer, it's making them poorer, you know?
Yeah, I also want to like on specifically that point from Bronze, the military point, like, it's especially strange that it's generally brought up with respect to China. Like, it's pretty much instantaneously. I mean, the US Navy is fucking gigantic. I'm pretty sure they could manage to secure goods. If China's trying to, like, do something. China loses that a lot more there. Like, if China gets blockaded, goodbye the entire Chinese economy. Like, it's so heavily reliant on trade. That's why you look at anything, it fucking says made in China on it. Imagine if that went away overnight because they went to war with the US. That's not a good calculation for China right there. I don't think China is like this, irrational, like, Mao's gone. Like, China, they do a lot of bad things, certainly. But they're not super expansionist, apart from, like, Tibet, which, like Taiwan. Taiwan's under threat from China, certainly. But they're not, like, crazy expansionist or anything. It doesn't seem like they want to be doing a whole lot of that.
Yeah, and also, like, I've looked into, the Chinese economic situation a little bit. And, if I'm wrong on this, people do correct me, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. It's that their domestic market is actually, like, falling. Like, the Chinese consumer is not buying stuff right now. It's almost like all of the Chinese growth in GDP comes from export growth. Like, there's no internal growth. So it's almost as if the internal market is in recession, and the only thing that's keeping China alive and quote unquote growing on paper is simply export driven. So if exports go, then I would say the entire Chinese economy just plummets.
Yeah, and I'll also just add on. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to quickly say, like, when you look at these foreign aggressors, right? Well, what is that? Fundamentally, it's a risk. And how do you deal with a risk? Well, you deal with it through insurance. You don't deal with it through the state coming in and trying to figure out the risk. You let private firms and actuaries hired by private firms try to actually, mitigate this risk and figure out, how much interest should be on these loans and whatnot. You don't have the state come in and just centrally plan, how we allocate resources. That's never the solution, and it's not the solution here either.
Oh yeah, and a very good argument can be made, a very good argument can be made that, because of certain military reasons, we can't have trade in steel. Well, the idea there should be that, because there is this government military, we do not know what the risk is, and thus there cannot be any rational allocation of, let's say, let's say there was a market in defense right now, and a lot of the quote unquote private military insurance firms, they might stockpile steel, they might diversify their sources of steel, or do 10,000 other things, and how much should they stockpile and how much should they diversify? Those answers are not available to the government military because it is a centrally planned economy. The market for defense is non-existent. And so, the moment you try to nitpick and go into this, okay, if this aggressive party can perhaps cut off essential military production resources, then what should we do about it? Well, the government has no answer, and the answer really is, well, we should privatize the military.
Yeah, I just want to say I would like him to define what capitalism is, and from his perspective, because obviously from our perspectives, capitalism, the institutions that define it are private property and voluntary exchange. So I think he needs to prove that those institutions generate the problem rather than, I guess just simply allowing people to make bad decisions, but yeah, that's all. I know it's irrelevant to what you guys said, but we were only 20 seconds in the video. If
I'm afraid to talk more.
No worries, I'm adding a speedrun timer for finish one video any %.
Nice. Let's beat it.
Oh, I'll have to go to dinner in an hour-ish because I'm out of town with my family. Just mentioning for the stream's sake.
No worries.
You guys can obviously, should stop and wait for me to come back.
Of course. That was the plan. We got the speedrun timer up now, so let's try and get this bitch done.
Into later. There are systemic level issues in the whole manufacturing thing in America that are important to understand, because if you don't understand them,
you see, that's the important point. He thinks that these are systemic issues. These are issues with what system he names it. These are issues inherent to capitalism. So we're going to find out what those issues are.
Hopefully.
You will trade short-term gains for long-term freedom and self-reliance. This little project.
So again, this should be setting off little alarm bells when somebody's saying there's systemic problems with capitalism. Is that they're too short-term oriented. If you're familiar with Austrian business cycle theory, this should start sending out alarm bells in your head as to what their true problem might be. But we'll see. We don't want to get too off the wall here.
It's taught me so much, because I thought I was just going to try to flip on some manufacturing capacity here in Alabama, but it's so much bigger than that. It's like kicking a hornet's nest, because now I understand the whole system has a problem, and other people are recognizing that as well. Today on Smarter Every Day, we're going to dive into these issues and try to understand more about the importance of self-reliance and manufacturing in your local area. Let's go get smarter every day. At the end of that last video, I showed you this.
Just a quick thing, which is that his project here is to show us the importance of self-reliance. Let's see if he's able to do that, and also the further question that if people remember the essay by Leonard Reed and popularized by Milton Friedman, I pencil, right? You actually do benefit from this, but nobody can make a pencil. So a point with self-reliance is the more self-reliant you get, in the sense of, instead of trading with the world, it's going to be just the nation producing everything. Well, why not keep going? Why not try to produce it? Only my state produces this now. And go further then, and okay, only I am going to try and produce a pencil. But you can't do that. And the more you try to do this self-reliance thing, the more you actually end up being poorer and poorer, and the most self-reliant person is the poorest person in the world then, because they don't trade, and there is only so much one human being alone can do.
It's fundamentally ignoring comparative advantage.
Sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I was just making a joke. Sorry.
The little clit rubber there.
Yes.
But all these arguments, they've been made by Austrians so often. I believe Rothbard makes it in Man, Economy, and State as well. It's all these protectionist arguments about self-reliance. It's if that truly is the principle, then yeah, you can just regress that back or further and further and further until it's it's only going to be my family, now it's only going to be me. And you find that, well, no, it does make you poorer. And why does it make you poorer? Well, because it ignores comparative advantage. It is better for us to have the people who are best at making these things be making them. Best by what standard? Most value productive. Or that's the standard we're using. Who is most value productive at this? And there's an actual answer to that, namely the one found by the market. That's how you know who's most value productive. It's not just an arbitrary thing where, we're just coming up with this off the top of our heads or anything. Like, if a company is profitable on the market, that means it is meeting the most ends possible. And so we're going to see some problems in this video. He will point to genuine problems in this video. I might cut out some of the problems. But it's always worth keeping in mind, are these problems because of capitalism or because of socialism? I think a lot of these problems, they're not because of capitalism, they're because of socialism.
Yeah.
It also, I know we're very short into the video, but I'm trying to understand what he means by capitalism, because he was complaining about manufacturing, but then he was also complaining, he seems to be now talking about like localized manufacturing specifically. And so does he mean, is capitalism when the factory is by my house? I'm not quite sure what exactly this has to do.
Yeah, I wish he opened with that, to be honest. That's what I was saying earlier with him trying to... I wish he would just qualify what he means by capitalism exactly. And then he can quickly realize that maybe the US isn't actually capitalist, right? But...
Yep.
Sorry, yeah, I'm done.
It's a wire bristle grill brush, and I said this. When they put a sticker on here, it says something like, stop using this if bristles are found on the grill, replace after 1 year of use, recommended. That person is just trying to sell you a grill scrubber. They don't care about you like I care about you. 13.4 million. That is how many wire bristle grill brushes have been recalled since I said that statement in the earlier video. That is a big, big number. And the reason the
What does that warning label add? Sorry, I can't pause the video. Wouldn't that warning label, though, add some type of value to the product for the consumer, like on its use and how to properly use it or maximize the value of its use?
So I think the argument he's going into here is basically that like these are like really shitty scrubbers, and that's entirely. I will even give him this argument that his scrubber is indeed better than the competition scrubbers. So like, and I don't know if we've done it yet, but he's going to get into that, like, well, if these bristles get off, it can actually like cause a lot of damage to you, and that's why they're often being recalled and stuff. So I think it's probably more to do with like trying to avoid lawsuits, because it's like, hey, look, we put it on the scrubber.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But also, like a worse quality product is not necessarily a bad product.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a car which is a budget car right now. It's not the best car, it's not the safest car, it's not the fastest car, it's not the prettiest car, but it is the cheapest car that I could get, which fits in all of these requirements that I could get, And sure, like I would really love a Ferrari, and if I was an economic nationalist, let's say I get like the best quality car, which is like made in India fully, right? Like, and like that really gets me off. And then it's like $5 million. And what am I going to do with that? So like cost is an important thing as well. And a worst quality product, if sold at a cost which I can afford, is the best possible product that I can afford. And that's the only particular product that I care about,
Yeah, but it's not unethical that you bought it though. Like, yeah, exactly. You knew going in that these were the downsides to it, but
for sure,
you can't just.
I'm saying it's a good,
unless he told you, or gave you something.
Yeah,
sorry.
for sure. Like I'm saying it's a good thing. It's a good thing that these bad quality cheap products are available, because the alternative would have been nothing is available to me in that of that good. Yeah,
I think this comes up a lot in like the planned obsolescence argument as well, where it's like, oh, look at all these shitty products. And I made this point in my video on planned obsolescence, like, actually no, providing a shitty product, that's indeed a good thing, right? I might not want to buy those shitty products. I like buying things that last. I've gone through multiple different iterations of my trousers portfolio because they kept fucking ripping up at the crotch. Because I wanted trousers that would last me. I could wear them, for years and years and years. And I ended up finding trousers that worked for me. But I had to shell out some good money for them. Right, but allowing people to buy shitty trousers, that's not a bad thing to do to somebody. It's the same thing with medicine. It's very clear in medicine, in fact. In medicine, the reason why it's so expensive, you can only buy the Ferrari. You're not allowed to buy the old beater. Right? What if I only have like the sniffles? I just want to go in for like some shitty doctor who's going to give me something for the sniffles. Why do I have to buy from the Ferrari dealership? That's one of the reasons why it's so damn expensive in the US, right?
Yeah, it's only unethical when I force you to buy the shitty product, or I limit your choice in that way.
Yeah.
What I was going to point out is
sorry,
that
my bad.
usually, oh, you're fine. Usually the things people are complaining about are stuff with massive intervention anyways, right? Like home appliances have tons of government intervention in them, like refrigerators, air conditioners, those kind of things. They keep changing the refrigerant they have to use and all this stuff. And then the compressors get crappier as time goes on. Cars are like this, right? Like I would kill to go and be able and buy a like 97 Cummins 2500, you know, but like brand new off the lot. But they're literally not able to manufacture and sell this to me. It is illegal. And that's like most of where you run into these problems. Yeah, go ahead now.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of this kind of comes from this idea that all of these products that we like are just kind of, floating out there, and they kind of abstract away from the fact that, no, these things actually need to be produced. Someone needs to go out there and produce them, right? The default state of nature is abject poverty. And if someone comes out there and, tears themselves out of this poverty and offers you the ability to buy maybe a cheap product, I can't see how this could possibly be bad, because, the counterfactual is there's no product. So it's just kind of stamping out production because it hasn't reached this arbitrary standard of goodness. It's like, no, this production is always good. Production is good just because it's how people survive. If you don't have this production, you're stamping out people's ability to survive and, uplift themselves.
Yep, exactly.
In America who issued these 2 large recalls is because those bristles can come off on your grill, and then you can put your food on the grill, and then the wire will get stuck to your food. You ingest it, and you have a surgical emergency to get it out. It's a pretty big deal. But here's the thing. I'm not just interested in talking about this because I want to sell you a grill brush. I do want you to buy a smarter scrubber. I'll tell you that at the end of the video. But what I'm really interested in is, what are the systemic forces in our economy that makes that the norm? Almost every product I have eventually becomes a crappier version of itself, and I hate that. This is what happens when you push capitalism to the max and you prioritize profits over people.
So again, this is his viewpoint of capitalism. This is what happens when you push capitalism to the max, and he's analogizing that to, or rather linking that with, prioritizing profits over people. Okay, what is maximum capitalism? We all know this. It's the non-aggression principle, fully applied across the board. No involuntary, aggressive interventions being made. That is full capitalism. Is that prioritizing profits over people? Well, what does that mean? What are profits? Well, profit, that means, where do we get this term from? Where do we get it from? First principles. It means that somebody is attaining some valued end with scarce means available to them. That is, they have made a profit there. They are better off than they were before. So the economy isn't like this floating thing out there that can either, be for people or against them. And, it can either be going just for profit for what sake, right? It isn't like that. Profit, the economy is people. It is people interacting. So it is nonsensical to have this concept of prioritizing profits over people. That just doesn't make sense. It's prioritizing goodness for people over people. What does it mean to prioritize over people? Well, surely that would mean the welfare of people, right? You're prioritizing profits over people's welfare. Well, the profits are a measure of people's welfare. So it's welfare over welfare. It's a non-starter.
Exactly. Like, it is, as you said, like it is, profit is the only real measure we can have of, the welfare of the population, welfare of people, right? Like if a trade is necessarily if a trade happens, it is necessarily profitable. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened, And so every time somebody makes a profit, like it's a good thing. It's, benefited, and nobody else was harmed. So to prioritize profit is to prioritize the welfare of the people. So this is trying to pit the concept of profit against some sort of nebulous concept of welfare, whereas no such thing exists. Like it's almost as if the premises that outside of what people do in the economy, that's what the economy is. It's people doing stuff. It's people trading. Outside of what people actually do, I know better what's better for them, and therefore I can tell what's really good for them. And this profit mechanism, that's not what it is. Like what people actually do is not what's good for them. What I think, that's good for people is what's good for people. So like it's very subtly it's inserting your whims about what you think the world should be, instead of what people think their own life and their own prosperity should be.
Mhm.
Maybe he would have a stronger argument if, like, exchanging money for a product was the only way we could communicate, like, the, I guess, value of a product. Because what he's doing right now is, like, he interacted with the product and he's letting everyone else know that this product has these health concerns, which would inevitably, or it gives the incentive for other people not to buy it, which would mean that product would be less profitable. Like, maybe I'm a little lost here.
You are going to see that a lot in this video, where he keeps talking about how these are all problems inherent to capitalism, but then he goes and shows the exact way in which the market solves those problems, namely by doing it himself and making the bear scrubbers himself. Like, that is the exact capitalist argument there. You just disproven the entire video by the fact that you are selling these scrubbers,
All right, great. We don't have to watch anymore. 17 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. Quick, stop the timer. We gotta upload this to speedrun.com.
It's gonna be so tragic because the rest of this video, I assume, is him running into regulation issues, right? Like, and then blaming capitalism for it.
Yeah, I will. Oh, sorry. Also, I will quickly add with this profits versus people thing. If we just imagine, well, what would it be like to put people over profits? Well, I guess you'd be some sort of. Certainly, you're not taking profit as your motive. So you're, I don't know, maybe putting more quality into your product. But profit is specifically a measure of how value productive you're being. So if you're putting something else in front of profit, you're subtracting the amount of value productiveness that you're creating. So you're literally working to the exact opposite purpose that you initially said, which was supposedly uplifting people. You're destroying what you were trying to do initially by working against profit, right? So if you are trying to take people as your primary, then you should take profit really as your measure of how much you're benefiting people.
It's interesting because when I hear like a socialist call for this, and I mean he is a socialist, but like when I hear a proper socialist call for this, I imagine they're talking about like worker co-ops or something like that, or like executives taking humongous pay cuts to like 50 grand a year or whatever. I just don't know what he could mean. I assume he's not for that kind of thing. So what exactly what does he want?
He wants like in an RPG when you select your inventory, he wants like the item description to tell you exactly when it will harm you or something. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.